The Rahm Emanuel, Barack Obama, two lovers sitting in a tree. B-E-A-T-I-N-G. What is it that Barack Obama promised on the campaign trail? Oh, yeah, that's right, I remember. A new kind of politics. Well, America didn't think the new politics would be even worse than the old politics, but here's what the new politics is. You don't agree with the administration? Well, I tell you what, you know what I'm saying? You want to stand in the way of reform? No longer is it a gentleman's disagreement that can be debated. No, no, no. No, you're going to play ball, or you're going to get a beat down. This is the most outrageous story I think that we have reported on, and we have reported on outrageous stories. And because this story has not, the homework on this has not been done by me or my staff. This is not our story that we're breaking. This one is from Mike Goldfarb. He is the online editor of the Weekly Standard. But he confirmed to me today that he had a Senate aide inform him that the White House has threatened to put Nebraska's Offutt Air Force Base on the BRAC list. This is the base realignment and closure list. If Senator Ben Nelson doesn't fall in line with health care, they will close this base. Senator Nelson has denied this story this afternoon. The White House denies this story. But Goldfarb and the Weekly Standard are standing by their source, and now two others. Senator Nelson has been against several portions of this bill from the beginning. He's still holding out for taxpayer money not to be used to fund abortions. But the left cannot allow that one to fall through as well. They need to have that in there for the progressives. Thus, the allegation is the White House has stepped up to use now the U.S. military and the security and defense of the United States of America as a bargaining tool against Nelson. The Nebraska base is the headquarters for U.S. Strategic Command. It is in Nebraska for a reason. The successor to Strategic Air Command. It was the place used by President Bush during the uncertain hours of 9/11. You remember where we didn't know where he was exactly? He was there. It's Strategic Command. It's in Nebraska for a reason. The Obama administration is possibly, and I can't bring myself to say these words because it is abhorrent if it is true, but it sure fits the pattern. They're playing politics with the national security of the United States. If it is true, that's exactly what they're doing for health care. Does it seem implausible, was the question that was asked to me several times by producers. Does it seem possible? Does it seem implausible to you? A year ago, I would have said yes. Today, I bring up the 3 Navy SEALs that are facing court-martial for giving one of the most vile, sought-after terrorists on the planet a fat lip after they captured him. Would you have believed the president could sit on a recommendation from his general that he appointed on the ground in Afghanistan for months? Pleading for more troops, more months, more months, more months. Pleading that we're going to lose this thing. Troops' lives are on the line. Could you believe even 6 months ago that after the slaughter of 13 U.S. soldiers on a U.S. military base, on U.S. soil, when the president steps up to inform the country about that tragedy, he would spend 2 whole minutes talking about someone else before making the announcement and then sending a shout-out before talking about Fort Hood.
I want to thank my cabinet members and senior administration officials who participated today. I hear that Dr. Joe Medicine Crow was around, and so I want to give a shout out to that Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Good to see you.
Look what happened to Senator Joe Lieberman. We talked to you about it yesterday. To get him to toe the line, Lee Siegel at the Daily Beast wrote that he needed to start acting Jewish and vote for the bill. Liberal Democrats were calling for a recall election in Connecticut. The goofball Shakespearean wannabe on the other channel that nobody watches hollered, "Mr. Lieberman, just resign already." Lieberman's wife was attacked. Liberal bloggers called for her to be fired from her position as a global ambassador for the Komen Breast Cancer Foundation because of her husband's views. We have seen plenty of extortion and the politics of absolute destruction from this White House. They're also capable of what I would believe, I mean, I can't believe it. It's not called out-and-out bribery. Louisiana's Senator Mary Landrieu, she was bought off with $300 million carrot for her state.
I am not going to be defensive about asking for help in this situation, and it is not a $100 million fix, it's a $300 million fix.
The rabid progressives don't care how they accomplish their goals. The ends justify the means. In this book, this guy just last week said about me, we've got to shut Glenn Beck up by any means necessary. That's how they do their work. But this, using the military and our strategic command as a pawn, threatening to weaken our national security defenses to fulfill your utopian social justice agenda, to me that borders on treason. No one wants to believe that the President of the United States or any of his advisors would stoop to these kinds of tactics. But what are we supposed to believe here? Senator Ben Nelson, who, even if the story is true, would obviously deny it to protect his party and the president? Or do we take the story at face value, based on the preponderance of evidence of Chicago thuggery we've already seen? I don't have time to tell you about the story about the other two guests that went into the White House and just had breakfast with the president. This is two couples now, and a convicted felon in 3 weeks. What happened? Did everybody in the Secret Service all of a sudden have an aneurysm? Or is somebody changing the game on us? Something is wrong, very wrong. As we get closer to the end of the year, Obama's poll numbers continue to drop. They seem to be getting more and more desperate at the White House. I understand that no one at the GE-owned NBC is interested in anything but propaganda anymore for health care or green energy. Oh, no, there's not a conflict of interest there. The New York Times is towing the line as they hold out for their bailout money. But someone, somewhere, must be interested in journalism besides this program and the Weekly Standard. Is there anyone who would like to report on this? Report on this story, the possible White House extortion techniques. Probably not. Well, not unless Tiger Woods is sleeping with one of the sexy female air persons at Offutt Air Force Base. Then they'll cover it. Oh, by the way, in an update from a story last night, speaking of people sleeping with other people, do you remember the story of Joe Lieberman I just told you about again? The woman going after his wife, I told you about her yesterday. She dated for 2 years Andy Stern. Our sources say she was... She just left when she met him, and by the end, she was just a leftist. By the end, she was a guerrilla activist. What a surprise.